Hi, I'm Ian Gordon along with Dennis Pitzenbarger and Nick Miles. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Fuel.
On this week's show, Two Behind the Wheels, we're going to take a look at Land Rover's LR3 and the Toyota FJ Cruiser, along with Dennis in the pits.
That's right, and it all starts right now.
Fuel is brought to you by the Russ Auto Group.
Hey, welcome back to Fuel.
Still to come on the show, we're going to take a look at the Toyota FJ Cruiser, Land Rover's LR3, and Dennis here is going to be in the pits.
Yeah, we want to take a second right now to say thank you to a special sponsor that helps make Fuel possible each week, the Russ Auto Group.
Now it's time for some Fuel news.
When you're taking a trip down to Southern California, the one spot you're going to definitely want to stop at if you're a drag racing fan is the NHRA Wally Parks Motorsports Museum. I'm here with Tony Thacker, who's the director. Executive Director of the museum here, and he's going to give us a general overview of the museum itself.
All right, hi, yeah, the museum's been here for about 10 years, and primarily a sort of drag racing museum, but it encompasses all sorts of other Southern California motorsports, from Dry Lakes, Bonneville, road racing, which was huge here in Pomona, so it's kind of a pretty wide spectrum of motorsports in Southern California.
So, Tony, this 1932 Roadster is one of the historic pieces here at the museum. Tell us a little bit about it.
Sure, this is one of the most famous Deuce Roadsters in America. This was built by Bob McGee in 1948. It was on the cover of Hot Rod magazine in October 48. Bob built it in his backyard. He raced it at the Dry Lakes. It changed hands. It was in a bunch of television shows. Our own curator, Greg Sharp, he raced this at Bonneville in, I think, in the early 70s and ran 165 miles an hour. And then around 2000, famous collector here in Southern California, Bruce Meyer, bought the car and restored it to the way Bob had it in 1948. It's one of the coolest cars in Southern California.
All right, we're moving over here to another piece. This one from a newer movie, actually, that's come out, The World's Fastest Indian. Tell us a little bit about this motorcycle.
Yeah, this is actually the original bike that Burt Munro built. Well, he bought it in the 20s and rode it, road raced it, rode it in New Zealand, and then started coming to Bonneville in about the 50s and fiddled and worked on this thing for 20 years until finally he got it to go 200 miles an hour.
How did it come to be here at the museum?
Well, luckily he sold it to somebody in America, and then a friend of mine bought it 20 years ago, and when the movie was coming out, I thought, well, wouldn't it be cool to have that bike on display? So I called Tom and his family and said, hey, can you lend me the world's fastest Indian? So here it sits. It's just great.
Wonderful. Now, these are just a couple of the things that you're going to want to come down and see here at the Wally Parks Motorsports Museum. There are a million things to check out. It's a whole day adventure here. Talk about some of the other things besides like this special bike here from the movie and the hot rod, some of the other race cars that somebody would come and see here.
Oh, we have a really wide selection of stuff. Like right now we have American Racing Wheels exhibit. It's the 50th anniversary of American Racing Wheels. So there's funny cars in there, there's street customs, there's cars that have been made out of two different cars to create a phantom sort of car that you've never seen before. There's a sort of history of funny cars. There are drag bikes. There are vintage dragsters. One of the first hot rods in the world is here, Ed Iskandarian's Roadster, which he was driving in the 30s. That sits in the corner here. I mean, we just got such a wide selection of stuff. It's great.
Now, tell me if I'm wrong. Is that Billy Gibbons' car out front?
Yep, that's Billy Gibbons' car out front. Billy's a real hot rodder and real fan and supporter of the museum. He comes here and does book signings, and I think we're going to have a sort of rock and roll show next year. And Billy's always lending us cars. It's a place to keep them.
Yeah, he owns Cadzilla as well, one of Boyd's cars, and we've had Boyd on the show, and we always talk about Billy, and when I pulled up and saw that car, I go, I've got to ask him about that and make sure it's Billy's car.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's Billy's rat truck, and I think we're going to have Cadzilla here next summer, so that'll be a cool thing for you guys to come back and see.
All right, Tony Thacker from the Wally Parks Motorsports Museum down here near Los Angeles. Come check it out next time you're in Southern California.
Still to come on Fuel, we're going to take a look at the Land Rover LR3. Dennis is going to be in the pits, and next we're going to take a look at Toyota's FJ Cruiser.